This is a VOW special broadcast. The COVID Report Show, Monday to Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. Exclusive to VOW 88.1. Hear it.
Molweni, Sanbonani, and welcome to another installment of the COVID Report, where we unpack the effect this pandemic has had on various sectors, various walks of life, and today is no different. Today we speak about the plight of domestic workers under this lockdown and under the pandemic. I am Siposihle Nkosazana Mbuli, and I am joined as usual by my phenomenal co-host.
Kamelihle Wakwapovana, aka Game. Thank you so much, Siposihle, for the warm welcome. Thank you so much to you for joining us here on the COVID Report, your one-stop shop for all of the facts, the stats, the figures, and none of the misinformation as it pertains to all things COVID-19 here in the country and all across the globe, really. And as Siposihle rightly mentioned, a jam-packed edition of the show that I think is really framed around the address that we were given most recently by our Commander-in-Chief, the President of the country, President Cyril Ramaphosa, in the form of a letter that he published earlier in the morning of the 18th of May 2020, basically calling for South Africans to continue to be resolute during these tricky, unprecedented times. He made mention of the fact that a lot of his decisions have not been received well universally across the Republic, and there are people who have committed themselves to pursuing legal action in the name of the actions of the government led by President Cyril Ramaphosa. While I do appreciate the President encouraging them to exercise their rights to pursue legal action if needs be, I do feel that over the course of our dealing with this pandemic, it has taken a toll on many of us, constantly devoting unnecessary amounts of time and energy towards these debates that just go from corner to corner without necessarily reaching a resolution. So I think these discussions that we're going to have today shed a light on the need to heed the call to continue to be resolute. Domestic workers and their plight during those times of lockdown. We have heard from domestic workers who have shared struggles as far as pertaining to the access of payment from their employers during this lockdown.
But still on the plight of domestic workers, we spoke to Relebohile Pirimako, who runs a domestic worker agency called Probity Domestic Solutions that places domestic workers throughout the year. But more specifically, we are speaking to them to discuss how this time has affected the work they do.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Can you please take us through the placement process that your agency undergoes?
When a client wants a domestic worker, we send them an information request form and a service level agreement. If they agree with our terms and conditions, we send them CVs based on their request. We then proceed with the interview and screening process. At the moment, because of the pandemic, we conduct interviews with a conference call with the domestic workers who don't have WhatsApp. Those that have WhatsApp, we do video calls together with the client.
So a very in-depth and collaborative process that is employed by your company. And something we've learned here on the COVID Report is that no company or nothing has been left unscathed during this pandemic. So at this time, where we're facing this global pandemic, how are you ensuring that the staff you are taking in and the homes they eventually go to are taking precautionary measures before reporting for duty?
At the moment, we're only placing live-in nannies and not stay-out nannies. We provide transport for our domestic worker, and that also gives us the opportunity to go view the client home, and we ensure that the domestic worker is safe, and we assess the workstation that the client is taking the precautionary measures that is required in order for the domestic worker to be safe during this pandemic.
Such brilliant work in ensuring that everyone plays their role in making sure it's a safe environment, making sure that that your company is not putting people out at risk who might have some precondition. So then, are there any teachings that you have derived from COVID-19 restrictions that has shaped or changed any of your business operations for the better, especially regarding your core business with the domestic workers?
Yes, definitely. There are some of our services that we had to reevaluate and restructure. One of the services being contracts. Initially, we had the option of offering contracts at an extra fee. And now we have decided that it is mandatory that the domestic workers we place have a contract in place with our clients, as we have realized that a lot of domestic workers don't have contracts. We have also realized that a lot of domestic workers are not registered for UIF, and we have amended our service level agreement to ensure that every domestic worker that we place is going to be registered for UIF. A lot of domestic workers now are not able to work because of the pandemic, and they can't even claim from the UIF because they're not even registered. So these are one of the things that have changed our business operations for the better. We added on our service level agreement that if the domestic worker contracts the virus while on duty, the employer must make sure that they get the necessary treatment and self-isolate.
You've just heard from Relebogile Piri Mako here on the COVID report, speaking to us about how they are only able to place live-in domestic workers and those working for essential workers through her agency. She also highlighted the safety issues that are faced by her personnel that fall underneath her agency's umbrella. We opened the forum to more domestic workers, as we alluded to earlier in the show, to come forward and share their experiences with us as far as the challenges they are facing during these tricky times. And this is what they had to say.
Sanibonani balaleli be Voice of Vets FM. Igama lami nguNomgqibelo. Ngisebenza as a domestic worker. Ukusebenza kwami ngaphakathi kwale lockdown. Ngiqale nayo i-lockdown. Ithe mayiqala bengivele ngisemsebenzini. So since then ngiloku ngisemsebenzini, but ke kwaba nokuthi sivumelane nabelungu bangihlalisa phansi bangibuza ukuthi ngizoyohlala ekhaya until kuphela i-lockdown noma ngizohlala lana ngisebenze. So savumelana ke ngokuthi ngizohlala la ngisebenze ngoba angeke ngikwazi ukuthi ngiloko ngitravela nge-public transport because basaba ukuthi kungenzeka ngibe infected, and then mhlambe ngithi mangiqeda ukuba infected mangifika thola ukuthi ama-symptoms awakabonakali, and then ngisulela mhlambe emntwaneni or ungethelelo omunye khona la endlini. So ngihlala ke emsebenzini, but ke ama-sanitizer ngiyawasebenzisa. Akhona e-room elinye nelinye kunebhodlela le-sanitizer, and then kune-hand soap e-kitchen eduze kwesinki. So kufanele njalo mangingena ekuseni mangiyoqala ukusebenza ngiqala ngokuthi ngigeze izandla ngaphambi kokuthi ngibambe umntwana, ngaphambi kokuthi ngibambe noma yini engizoyithinta. Kufanele ukuthi ngiqale ngogeza izandla kuqala. And then i-mask yona nayo ikhona, bawathengile abelungu, and then nami banginikeza, but ke angiyigqoki la endlini like ukuthi each and every single time mangiyoqala ukusebenza mele I have to wear a mask. No, I just wear it mangabe ngiphuma ngihamba, like mangabe bengisa ekhaya, and then sifaka ama-mask lawo nabo ke bayawafaka mabe ema-shop, but ke ngiyifaka mangiya ekhaya, and then ke nama-hand glove akhona for in case mangabe kukuthi kukhona into engizoyibamba, like the last time ngangihambe babe ngiqhashele Uber, so bathi ngcono ukuthi ngifaka ama-hand glove so that ngizokwazi ukuthi ngivule ngama-hand glove ngibambe ngama-hand glove ama-handle womnyango we-Uber mangingena noma ngiphuma, but still nawo ama-hand glove lawo kufanele ngiwa-sanitize. So i-challenge engibhekene nayo kakhulu mina eyi-challenge kimi into ukuthi angikwazi ukuya ekhaya regularly ngama-weekend as I used to. So abantwana ngibabona once a month only because of sabela ukuthi mangihamba nge-public transport kungenzeka ngibe infected, and umlungu akakwazi ukuthi angangithatha every weekend because sometimes uyasebenza kwamanye ama-weekend. So ileyo i-challenge nje engibhekene nayo. Ngiyabonga.
Hello, my name is Patricia. I'm a domestic worker. I would just like to thank my bosses for being there for me and my family. They continue to support me and they allow me to go back home every Thursday after my shift until the following Monday. And they also provide me with masks and sanitizers to cleanse my hands as I am staying with them.
As a domestic worker myself, it's tough to be in this COVID-19, and my employers are very, very nice people. They're very, very nice. So they have said, Hore, I can stay with them. They have placed a room for me in their home. They said I shouldn't go home because now I use public transport and now I'm going to affect my children and my husband and my mother at home. And they told me that every time I go out to the shops to buy grocery, I should just wear a face mask. And they provide sanitizers when I come into the house and also when I come out.
Well, again, you've heard it directly from the horse's mouths. It is clear to see that the effects of the pandemic on domestic workers have been severe. Absolutely eye-opening and insightful stuff, as is always the case here on the COVID Report. I certainly appreciate the insight that I have gained through this show on the extent to which the work of domestic workers, who a lot of people might be guilty of taking for granted in certain periods of time, it's really highlighted how important they are, not only to the maintaining of our households, but as far as them being able to feed their own families through the work that they perform. And like I said, Sposisha, I am very appreciative of the insight that I've gained into their plight through this show today.
If I can be guilty of using some of our favorite buzzwords, it was very eye-opening and enlightening engagement. It also gave many facets to the plights of domestic workers, from not being able to claim from the UIF to also not being able to find jobs. It shows that there are a discriminated group, and one that we do not necessarily consider enough, and one that we do not see enough in conversations and in discourse. And I think we're not the only ones guilty of doing that. As one of our guests points out, government is guilty of not protecting domestic workers enough. And I think from this point on, we should work, and like the work that many people are doing, to ensure that during this time we can mitigate some of the effects that are happening. But I think there's nothing we can say that nothing we have shown that can show that I want to retake that. Sorry. I'm just going to go from the where game says yes. Okay. 3, 2, 1. And if I can be guilty of using some of our favorite buzzwords here on the COVID Report, it has been an enlightening and eye-opening engagement of the plight of the domestic workers. That it is more than just looking for a job, but also not being able to claim, not being able to work, also working in environments that are not necessarily the safest, because they are only allowed to work in homes of essential workers. So I think all in all, it has been a robust engagement on what the plight of domestic workers has been during this pandemic.
I think it only continues to further echo the call by the president for more active citizenship during this time. I think it also extends to other facets of life, especially those facets of life that have been affected by this COVID-19 pandemic. It will require active citizenship from all of us to continue to heed the call, to stay at home, to stay hygienic, to continue to social distance, to arm ourselves with knowledge about this virus and the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic, to continue to show compassion and empathy where it is appropriate and possible, and to also continue to support the members of the country who go out of their way to make the best out of this unprecedented situation that all of us all across the world have found ourselves in. And I do think that if we continue to heed the call for more active citizenship, it will eventually see us in better stead when we get to the moment of a post-coronavirus society. On that note, I and Sposifia leave you for today's edition of the COVID Report. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of the show that gives you all the facts, the stats, the figures, and none of the misinformation as it pertains to all things COVID-19. Just to remind you, you can catch this in podcast form using our website, www.vowfm.co.za. You can also follow the show on Twitter at VOWFM, hashtag the COVID Report. From myself and Sposifia, it is ciao ciao for now.
Noisy neighbors making you turn up the volume. We get it, but there's noise and then there's need. So if you hear something disturbing happening nearby, take action. Turn down your radio and turn up your attention. If you hear the sounds of gender-based violence, visit gbv.org.za or contact the GBV Command Center on 0800 428 428 to report abuse or ask for help. Don't drown out the noise. Listen harder. gbv.org.za is there. If something's happening next door, nearby, or next to you, turn down your radio. Listen. Act. We'll be right here when you're done.